Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Salvaje. Here's my Save the World in-depth weapon review for the Deathstalker. The Deathstalker is a 3-round burst assault rifle in Fortnite Save the World. It has a low magazine, and of course it specializes on massive amounts of headshot damage. As always, my supporter creator code is Salvaje if you guys want to rock that. With that said, let's get straight into the review. So, like I said, the Deathstalker specifically specializes on massive amounts of headshot damage. So if you want to use this assault rifle, you need to do an overall damage, headshot damage build. And after testing the weapon, you probably want to put a reload speed on this thing instead of a magazine size, because the faster you reload your weapon, the more damage you're going to be able to, of course, provide. I went with a magazine size for the Deathstalker, and I realized that I was taking way too much time to actually reload the weapon, and that would basically mean that I was going to be dishing out less damage when it came down to defending game modes. Talking about game modes, as you guys know, I like to review weapons based on, of course, multiple modes with multiple heroes, and something that I realized is that the Deathstalker, for the most part, is an assault rifle that doesn't really specialize on defending game modes or attacking game modes. And the reason for that is because even though it specializes on headshot damage, the headshot damage that it provides isn't really enough to actually make it viable, at least when it comes down to the end game and the mid game. Something that I realized using the Deathstalker in the end game is that I was using this weapon against mist monsters, for example, and by the time I was done melting them, I had like 6 bullets in the magazine, which means that, well, all of the basic husks that were basically coming at me were about to overwhelm me. But of course, as you guys know, I don't just rate weapons based on their individual performance. You know, I rate them in a team-based environment where, of course, your teammates are also going to be putting in the work. However, even then, I realized that even though I was taking out a pretty decent amount of husk with the Deathstalker, I realized I could just be using any other full auto assault rifle in Fortnite Save the World and be doing a way better job than I am doing with this weapon. The low magazine size, slow rate of fire, and really average reload speed sort of holds this weapon back greatly. And again, I found myself in multiple situations where by the time I was able to take out a couple of husks, my magazine size was already really low, which means that I was dishing out on a lot of damage per second. And even though the Deathstalker specializes on single target damage and headshot damage, I could always just run a sniper and, you know, just have massive amounts of headshot damage with a sniper, or a pretty decent amount of headshot damage with a sniper. If I am, of course, getting overwhelmed, I could always use something like a grenade, for example, but what if my grenades are on cooldown, right? You know, what if I need something that can fire very quickly and have consistent damage? Well, the Deathstalker isn't really going to be bringing that, because I'm going to have to be reloading the weapon every 5 minutes because of its really low magazine. It's going to have a slow rate of fire, and even though the headshot damage is going to be pretty decent, it's not going to be as great as a sniper. Or if I want high single target damage, of course, I can always just switch something to switch to something like a shotgun, for example. So what I am trying to say here, guys, is a lot of the reasons that you have to use the Deathstalker basically just go away, because any other weapon in the game can basically do a better job, most likely, than this weapon can provide. And I just want to address the elephant in the room. We have a weapon in Fortnite Save the World called the Tiger, I believe, which is a military weapon that will be coming to the game, to the base game eventually. But long story short, we have weapons like the Tiger, which is a fully automatic Deathstalker that is able to dish out massive amounts of damage and comes with a high magazine size. So in other words, the Deathstalker is completely irrelevant. However, I'm not going to say that the weapon sucks. The weapon doesn't suck, it's just a weapon that isn't really viable when it comes down to the mid and end game levels of play. Canny Valley, High-End Planker Town, and Twine Peaks, this weapon is going to be useless, and you're just better off using a fully automatic weapon. Anyways, now that we got all of that out of the way, recommended perks. You want damage, headshot damage, magazine size. You absolutely want snare on this weapon if you want to have a Deathstalker that specializes on mist monsters. Or you want headshot explosions for the 6th perk if, of course, you want to use this weapon against a lot of basic husk. Because headshot explosion is just going to make it so that all of the husks that are grouped up together are going to, of course, be damaged by that headshot explosion, and that's going to come in handy. But when it comes down to the star rating, this weapon's going to be a 3 out of 5 stars because it lacks consistency in important areas like magazine size, reload, and rate of fire. And it's just not good enough, honestly, when it comes down to an assault rifle that's viable at the long ranges. I mean, there's other better options out there. I hope you guys enjoyed the review though, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next one.